every man can be evil. God said that all of our hearts desperately seek to be evil from a youth. So, but how great is that evil? And so, like, again, and you look at Chicago, if everybody just, them niggas think that they tough, we could kill niggas too. That's kind of where it go from. We could kill too. You think that we can't kill more niggas than y'all could kill? It kind of is a competition.
And the fact of the matter is, Chicago's 051 Melly had snatched so many souls that one really starts to believe that he'd looked at the business in the streets as a competition. In the annals of Chicago's gritty streets, he was recognized by many as 051 Melly, but within the shadowy circles of his underground life, he bore a far more ominous moniker, the Gravedigger. Born Yarmel Williams, Melly comes from the heart of the Windy City. Before this enigmatic figure met a tragic end, he caused havoc and chaos to anyone who had the courage to stand in his way. In the tapestry of his life, he was not always the feared figure he came to be known as. Many contended that this transformation into the menacing presence he ultimately became was a result of his surroundings and the company he kept. Born on November 19, 1991, amidst the rugged terrain of Chicago's South Side, Melly's childhood was shared with two siblings, Ken J. and Wu. While he held the position of elder brother, it's worth noting that he and Wu shared a mother, Angie B., but had different fathers. In Yarmel Williams' absence, Melly's life was profoundly influenced by Wu's father, Jerome Golden, a notable member of the Black Disciples, who would later be incarcerated for its involvement in 4 murders and armed robberies. The pivotal point in Melly's life may well have been the loss of his mother at the age of 40 due to cancer. Following this, he found himself in a state of constant relocation under the care of his stepfather, marking a potential turning point in his trajectory. Among the other individuals who may have contributed to the negative influences in his life were his cousins TYMB Courtney and TYMB Court, both affiliated with the Black Disciples and allegedly tied to the demise of a 15-year-old rapper and GD member named Tuka.
NLMB were formed by 2 sets that went renegade. First, the Muskegon Boys. They were a gangster disciple set over on Muskegon in 78.
His uncle, a sibling of Golden, was known as G-Slim, a member of the Never Leave My Brothers gang, or NLMB. Melly's upbringing in Randolph Towers, also known as the Calumet Buildings, transitioned into life at 59th and Calumet, following the tower's demolition. Unfortunately, this area fell under the jurisdiction of the 600 gang. Melly's connection to the 051 crew began during this time at DeSable High School, where he forged friendships with individuals associated with the Mickey Cobras. Additionally, he formed a close bond with a member of the 051 crew, known as 051 Zico. Tragically, Zico fell victim to a shooting in 2008, allegedly at the hands of a member of the Trigger Happy family, or THF crew, named The Key. For a young teenager like Melly, who had lost his mother and had a stepfather in prison, a loss of a friend to gang rivalry may have proven too much to bear. Lacking role models and the coping mechanisms, Melly was drawn into the treacherous world of gang life. Remarkably, Melly joined the 051 crew, despite most of his family members' affiliations with BD or BD-related factions. Furthermore, the majority of 051's rivals had BD ties. Yet Melly's ability to straddle both worlds was facilitated by his extensive familial connections across the city. His charisma and adaptability led him to become a part of both the 051 crew and the Black Disciples. 051 Young Money, the faction Melly joined, stood as one of the most influential gangs on Chicago's South Side, notorious for its ruthless enforcers and control over territory far exceeding the norm. While many gangs claimed dominion over roughly 2 square miles, 051 Young Money extended its reach across more than 3 square miles of territory. The core of their territory spanned from King Drive to Woodlawn Avenue, stretching between 53rd and 48th Streets. This domain also encompassed areas such as Hyde Park, Kenwood, and Eastern Grand Crossing. Established around 2006-2007, 051 wasted no time in entering into a fierce feud with THF. THF, located between 45th and 46th Drexel and Woodlawn, boasted a cadre of experienced street veterans, rendering it one of Chicago's most feared gangs. The enmity between 051 and THF would soon escalate to become the city's most prominent and blood-soaked rivalry. It all began in skirmishes, both within and outside of schools, eventually escalating to the involvement of firearms, with with the inevitable outcome being a body count. The first casualty of this feud was an 051 member, Carlos Meros, alias Los, who fell victim to a fatal shooting on March 13, 2008, at 4800 South Drexel Boulevard. Carlos, aged 20, was rushed to Northwest Memorial Hospital, but succumbed to multiple gunshot wounds. There was no turning back. The conflict would claim the lives of numerous young men. Despite performing well academically, Melly was inexorably drawn into the streets, intensifying his pursuit of 051's adversaries around 2010 to 2011. During this period, tensions between the rival factions reached a boiling point. In 2011, 051 exacted revenge on the deaths of Los and Zeko in 2008, claiming the lives of Quint and Tony, both affiliated with THF, due to the actions of Montana from 051. The 600 crew also entered the fray, targeting an 051 member, Thang, a member of 600, shot and killed T-Streets, an 051 member. 3 months later, 051 retaliated. This marked the commencement of Melly's macabre killing spree, which commenced on February 2, 2012, when he and an associate named Kiddo embarked on a quest for vengeance following the death of their crew member. The victim in this tragic episode was a 20-year-old member of the 600 gang, known by his alias, Rush, or born as Shaquille Rush. On that fateful day, Shaq found himself leaving a party on the 5900 block of South Calumet Avenue, accompanied by a girl. Little did they know that lurking nearby, within 600's territory, were none other than Melly and Kiddo. As fate would have it, Shaq ventured into an alley. It was in this venerable moment that Melly and his partner seized the opportunity, ambushing Shaq and firing multiple rounds at him. The young girl accompanying Shaq was also caught in the crossfire, suffering a graze from one of the bullets. Tragically, Shaq succumbed to his injuries on the spot, having sustained multiple gunshot wounds to his body and head. Fortunately, the girl quickly rushed to Northwestern Memorial Hospital for medical attention. The sorrow surrounding Shaq's death was compounded by the fact that his father, Luther Rush, had met a similar fate in 1998, falling victim to a gang-related shooting. Speaking to reporters in the aftermath of her son's murder, Shaq's mom shared poignant memories of her lost child. He was a very outgoing person, very spirited. His mother said, he always had a smile on his face. He was never mad, and he always made people laugh. It wasn't the first time that violence struck Dorothy Rush's family. Her husband, Luther Rush, who was also shot dead in 1998, and her other children talk about their slain brother constantly. We were a real close-knit family, Dorothy Rush said. She described Shaquille as a young man who cherished spending time with his siblings and had a passion for music, often dedicating his time to writing lyrics and crafting beats on his computer. He was known for his outgoing and spirited personality, always sporting a warm smile and an ability to bring laughter to those around him. D'Amelio, a member of 051 and an opponent of Shaq, deemed him deserving of death in the ongoing feud with THF. This placed Melly square in the crosshairs at the 600 gang, considering the irony that, at the time, Melly resided within 600's heavily controlled territory. In a brazen display of bravado, he would even taunt 600 members on Twitter, openly acknowledging his presence in their domain and asserting that he moved through the area with impunity. This audacious attitude earned Melly a reputation for fearlessness, despite his ties to the BD and his family's protection network. However, despite being a top target for 600, they were unable to catch Melly off guard. In addition to his social media provocations, Melly shockingly confessed to Shaq's murder during an online dispute with a 600 member. In a startling moment of self-incrimination, Melly posted on Twitter indicating that he was the one who caught Shaq in the alley with his gap. This unguarded admission added another layer of complexity to an already tense and deadly gang rivalry. In the complex and perilous world of gang rivalries, revenge was a currency all its own. One such vendetta unfolded between the 600 gang and 051, stemming from the tragic death of Fathead, an 051 member. Seeking retribution, 051 set their sights on C-Day upon his release from jail, making him their primary target. Their plan involved luring C-Day into an ambush, disguising it as business meeting. Little did they know that Melly and two other 051 members lay in wait at the rendezvous point. As C-Day arrived, the trio sprang from their concealed position, intent on carrying out their sinister mission. Miraculously, C-Day managed to escape the onslaught, dodging a hail of bullets that missed their mark. He emerged from the encounter unscathed, fortunate to have eluded Melly's vengeful grasp.
Can any motherfucker come through here like this or what?
No.
What you think, man? You think that crime rate half for nothing?
Yet not everyone would be as fortunate. Amidst this vendetta, OTF Newskeep emerged as a notable figure in this perilous tale. Newskeep, renowned as Lil Durk's cousin, found himself caught in the crossfire as Melly sought vengeance for the loss of his friend and fellow gang member, Mark Campbell, known as Lil Mark. The roots of this feud trace back to the murder of La Capone, a 600 member implicated in Fathead's death. Mark, innocently waiting at a bus stop on the 300 block of East 51st Street, suddenly found himself the target of a van filled with members from O Block 600 and Folly Boys. Alerted by fellow gang member, the van arrived at the scene where Twilla from THF and D-Rose from 600 unleashed a barrage of gunfire before speeding away. Tragically, Lil Mark was fatally struck in the head, succumbing to his injuries at the scene. What further incensed 051 was the disrespectful videos and taunts that followed Lil Mark's killing. Lil Durk, along with 600 THF and O Block members, embarked on a mocking campaign against Lil Mark and his late brother Tuka. Lil Durk's video mocking the bus stop where Lil Mark had been slain heightened tensions, making him the primary target of Melly in 051.
Hey, this bus stop right here though, this a real famous place, yeah. It's a real famous place, B. Hey, this bus stop is a real famous place, B. I ain't gonna lie.
Despite their desire for retribution, 051 faced a significant obstacle in targeting Lil Durk. The rapper's fame would draw unwanted attention, and his limited presence in Chicago meant that he was rarely exposed outside. Consequently, 051 shifted their strategy, opting to target those closest to Durk. Their first victim was OTF Newskeep, Lil Durk's cousin. 2 months after Lil Mark's murder, 051 achieved their first act of vengeance. While Lil Durk briefly left Newski alone in a parked car on the 700 block of East 87th Street, Melly and Driller seized the opportunity. They approached the car from both sides and opened fire, leaving Newski with multiple gunshot wounds. Newski managed to start the car and drive away, but crashed a short distance later. The shooters fled the scene, leaving Newski dead in the car. This assassination struck a personal chord with Lil Durk, who was devastated upon discovering his cousin's lifeless body, drenched in blood. The cycle of revenge continued, with 051 next to targeting OTF Chino, managed Lil Durk and was affiliated with THF.
This is where OTF Chino got shot and killed at when he was going to get something to eat after the studio. And this is also where Boo Boo Crump came to get a Chino burger and threw it in the trash, and everybody was looking at him crazy. So we gonna get a quick walkthrough real quick.
On March 27, 2015, Chino was sitting in a car in the 8400 block of South Stony Island Avenue, unaware that he had been spotted by an 051 member. Melly, driven by personal vendetta, approached the car and fired multiple shots, one of which struck Chino in the head. Chino was rushed to Advocate Trinity Hospital in the Calumet Heights neighborhood and was declared dead upon arrival.
Wait, he was killed at his house?
No, that's what I was thinking. But he had went to a restaurant.
I mean, do you know if the people were arrested who were charged with it?
Wasn't nobody charged.
Nobody was charged, so it's just...
That's every day in Chicago. Anything happen, 9 times out of 10, you ain't gonna find out who did it. No.
051, determined to mirror the disrespectful actions that had followed Lil Mark's murder, unleashed a barrage of messages and tweets mocking Chino's death. Melly's relentless pursuit of vengeance began to affect Lil Durk deeply, with the rapper now hell-bent on seeking revenge. In response, Lil Durk sang about his desire for the man responsible for his cousin's death to meet a slow demise. Melly, however, remained undeterred and continued his violent streak. 15-year-old THF Raheem is tasked with eliminating Melly, leading to a potentially deadly confrontation. On one fateful day, Melly and his associates encountered Raheem, Ariel, and Arrow in the 600 block of South Wentworth Avenue. Unbeknownst to the trio, Raheem approached them, opened fire, and narrowly missed Arrow. Ariel sustained a gunshot wound to his shoulder, but Melly was not as fortunate, receiving a bullet to his head and foot. Both Ariel and Melly were rushed to Stronger Hospital, where they survived the attack. Undeterred by his near brush with death, Melly was soon back on the streets, continuing his pursuit of revenge. A fortnight later, he and Ariel embarked on a mission to claim their next victims, Raheem. Finding Raheem and THF Twin in the 800 block of East 45th Street, Melly and Ariel opened fire, resulting in Raheem's death, while Twin suffered a gunshot wound to the foot. The cycle of violence seemed unending as 051 and their rivals sought retaliation with unwavering determination. Relentless bloodshed and the ongoing vendetta took a significant toll, bringing increased scrutiny from law enforcement and intensified gang tensions. Nevertheless, Melly and 051 remained resolute, determined to settle their score and perpetuate the cycle of violence that had gripped their lives. In the unforgetting battleground of gang rivalries, the Gravedigger resumed his his quest for vengeance. This time he found himself in the 8800 block of South Marshfield Avenue, where he spotted one of the Folly Boys linked to Bankroll Q's demise, Delvin Weston, also known as Lil Del. With calculated precision, Melly approached his adversary and unleashed a hail of gunfire upon him, striking Lil Del multiple times in the chest. Remarkably, the 18-year-old victim summoned the strength to transport himself to Advocate Medical Center. However, this resilience proved insufficient, as he was eventually pronounced dead at the hospital. Unlike his approach to Lil Dark, Melly's strategy now involved targeting individuals directly implicated in the fatal shootings of his fellow gang members. Rather than lying low for a period of recuperation, Melly, true to his ominous reputation, wasted no time. Just 3 days following the killing of Lil Del, he set his sights on THF once again. This time, Trayvon Dickerson became the focal point of his relentless pursuit. Melly, accompanied by two fellow 051 members, spotted Trayvon in the 6800 block of South Cornell Avenue. Without hesitation, they unleashed a barrage of gunfire, striking Trayvon multiple times in the face and abdomen, leading to his immediate demise. It was suggested that Melly had possibly tracked Trayvon from his residence, giving their close proximity to each other, making the task of locating and eliminating him relatively straightforward. At this point in time, Melly had inflicted considerable damage upon THF, far surpassing the customary levels seen in gang rivalries. Ordinarily, one would neutralize a few members from the same faction, but Melly had claimed a significantly higher number of lives. As a result, THF was growing increasingly determined to eliminate him without delay. Yet Melly's elusiveness and cunning had, until now, allowed him to slip through their grasp. However, the tables would soon turn, for Melly's adversaries were not about to relent. Raheem, the young THF member who had been involved in a previous confrontation with Melly, was now a free man. Having been released from jail, Raheem was the stepson of Bezu, who had lost his stepson in the ongoing vendetta and now sought retribution. Bezu joined the growing list of individuals intent on capturing Melly, all of whom harbored an unyielding desire for vengeance.
What you got on, man? Oh, that's foolish. That's crazy.
In early 2018, Melly and his friend Crump stood outside a gathering of the 6800 block of South Morgan Street. In a sinister turn of events, a car suspiciously slowed down near them. Without warning, Bezu and two other assailants opened fire on the unsuspecting duo. In less than a minute, the vehicle sped away, leaving behind a gruesome scene. Crump bore the brunt of the attack, sustaining 4 gunshot wounds, 2 in the torso and 2 in the arm. Melly, astonishingly, survived yet another attempt on his life, enduring 5 shots to his left arm and a grazing bullet wound to the head. Both victims were urgently transported to the University of Chicago Hospital, where Crump was tragically pronounced dead. Remarkably, Melly had once again emerged from a life-threatening situation with his life intact. His ability to evade capture and his tenacity in surviving multiple attempts on his life had left his adversaries, including Bezu, increasingly exasperating. Despite their concerted efforts to eliminate him, Melly had proven to be a formidable and elusive foe, frustrating those who sought to bring him to justice. The streets were abuzz with rumor that Lil Durk had placed a bounty on Melly's head, adding yet another layer of motivation for individuals like Bezu to attempt Melly's elimination.
It ain't all about goals and plans. Like, you gotta know what's your purpose of living to do anything, gang. Like, a lot of don't even be making sense.
Bezu's determination to take down Melly was further fueled by Melly's involvement in the killing of Bezu's teenage stepson. Before Melly resumed terrorizing Lil Durk, he decided to extract retribution on one of the individuals responsible for Bankroll Q's death. Tyrone Marshall, known as Ty, became his next target. The scene was set when Ty, a 19-year-old, and his friend engaged in casual conversation, leaning against a parked car. Oblivious to their surroundings, they failed to notice a vehicle approaching slowly. The car came to a halt a short distance away, and Melly's firearm emerged from its lowered window. In a quick and lethal burst of gunfire, Melly did not miss his mark. Ty was struck in the head before Melly swiftly fled the scene. Another life was claimed, and Melly's reputation as the Gravedigger was solidified, and it seemed that everyone he targeted met a grim end. But Melly was far from finished. He was about to confront Lil Durk in OTF once more. As mentioned earlier, the death of Crump had reignited Melly's thirst for vengeance against Lil Durk and those close to him. With a renewed determination, Melly resumed his pursuit of Lil Durk, aiming to strike where it hurt most, his family. His targets were Lil Durk's blood brother, D-Thang, Andy the Lil Durk's cousin, Baby D. On one fateful night on the 600 block of East 115th Street in the Pelham neighborhood, Baby D, D-Thang, and OTF Fresh sat together in a parked car, completely unaware that they had been trailed from a nightclub they had visited earlier. Melly, accompanied by several accomplices, pulled up alongside them. Before anyone inside the parked car could react, bullets rained down upon him. All 3 occupants of the car were hit and rushed to the University of Chicago Medical Center. OTF Fresh was the luckiest among them, sustaining a bullet wound to his left knee and being quickly quickly discharged from the hospital. However, D-Thank had been shot multiple times in the legs and abdomen, entering critical condition upon arrival at the hospital. Miraculously, he survived and was discharged a few days later.
Well, Terrell, police say 3 men were shot inside that car right behind me there. One of them is in critical condition. Another is serious. And a third man who was shot is not giving police any information on what may have led up to this. The car, riddled with bullet holes, coming to a stop near 111th Place and Cottage Grove, where it ended up in the middle of the street.
Tragically, Baby D, 30 years old and known as Darnell Banks, suffered multiple gunshot wounds into his back and abdomen. He succumbed to his injuries while receiving medical treatment. The news of Baby D's death devastated Lil Durk, marking the second family member lost and deepening the anguish as his brother fought for his life in the hospital. Melly's actions had crossed the line, and enough was enough. Several gangs, including THF, Lamron, and 600, were now actively searching for the Gravedigger. While he remained elusive, there was a growing consensus that his day of reckoning would eventually arrive. As the saying goes, every dog has his day.
8 would tell Travis to capture the assailants on footage as if they were cohorts in the assassination.
On September 1st, 2019, Melly made a grave mistake by attending a house party located at 6107 St. Lawrence at Chicago's South Side, an area under the control of the Gyro City Gang. At the party, Melly encountered Nate, a member of Taekwon World. Interestingly, Taekwon World and 051 were not enemies at the time. In fact, just a few weeks earlier, Melly and Nate had been shooting dice together. However, their gambling venture ended in bitter dispute. A few days later, Melly showed up at Nate's residence and opened fire with Nate's girlfriend and newborn inside the house. The sight of Melly ignited Nate's rage, prompting him to pretend to leave the party, but then abruptly turn around, draw his firearm, and fire in Melly's direction. His aim was true, as Melly was struck in the chest, groin, and abdomen, falling lifeless on the spot. Melly met his demise in the same ruthless manner that he had claimed so many lives at his hands. 051 Melly's death resulted in the formation of Melly Way, an alliance among 051, 757, and Geo Drive. Rumors circulated that Melly Way members patiently awaited Nate's release from prison to exact revenge for Melly's death, ensuring that the cycle of violence in the unforgiving streets of Chicago endured. In this harrowing story of the Gravedigger, we've witnessed the relentless pursuit of vengeance, the tragic consequences of an unending cycle of violence, and the indomitable spirit of survival that define Melly's story. The scars of this violent chapter in Chicago's history serve as a stark reminder: the price paid in the name of revenge